Let's listen as he expresses
And Mark won't be here, right?
Correct, he's out today. I just want to know, I think the video's working today? The video and the audio.
So we have to be polite.
So we can, once the meeting's over, I mean, I can send an email to the BOC that we had our meeting, and I know the mayor's here, so I don't know if he's gonna pop in.
So we'll hold off till Paul gets here.
Yeah. He said he was on his way out.
Ron, do you have another executive summary printed that I could get at some point?
Yeah.
Okay, not, it doesn't have to be now, just.
Okay.
Oh, I'll take one too, actually, cause I don't think I got any of them.
Yeah, we got this in email, but there's a lot to print. I'm like you, I like paper.
Yeah, I like to scratch notes on it.
The meeting went till 11:28 last night.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Anything good
They
on the
extended
agenda?
it to 11:15 and then had to extend it again till 11:30.
I
Commissioner,
was just looking at the
Commissioner
report.
Terrapini was like, I'm gonna start voting no if we don't end pretty soon.
Well, I mean, that's a
Whoa,
long
Paul.
time.
Hi there.
You wanna sit over there? Yeah, you can sit over there in the hot seat.
That's great.
Hope you got all the answers.
Got my phone. I need to look something up. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing? Good.
We'll wait till Ron gets back in here.
Oh,
before
for
we
sure.
talk to him.
I wouldn't get into any financial discussions without Ron.
It depends on what color shirt he's wearing.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Budget Advisory Committee at 2:32 on July 28th, 2001. Roll call.
Chair
Please.
McCloy,
Here.
Vice Chair Hales,
Here.
Mr. Curris is absent. Ms. Hall? Here. Mr. Bridgman?
Here.
Okay, looking at the agenda, we have one main item on the agenda, review, discussion, and recommendation, requested positions. Okay, I'll be trying my best to be polite. But I'm remembering the last time that we were in here doing the budget reviews. Can I ask, what triggered off the request for all these positions? Very fair question. I see most of the answers coming back right around the 14th, but somebody had to go out to the departments and say what? What was the gist?
Yeah.
Was it
Ron,
a-
I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah, so Paul Smith, I'm here representing the city manager today. He had a sudden absence and asked that I come represent, him for this, and Ron helping me out. So let me do my best, and Ron, of course, is gonna fill in where he thinks he should. This is part of an annual process for the city manager to, when budget time comes around, he likes to have a good sense of all the position requests or needs from his departments, and this is something he's done over the years. So actually, he had been building this list, and the results of that is in the back of this packet that you had. I think what's accelerated it is various commissioners requested the pay study, and then from there came, okay, what are your position needs? Usually, we don't talk about these things this soon, but it's been sort of different this year. And, Ron, is there anything more you would add to that?
No, I think that's it. I mean, like I say, city manager has had the list, and I think there's been commissioner recommendations on positions, and I know even Paul's position, which has been out there for 3, 4, 5 years that he's been looking for, so it just sort of all came together, and we put
The
all.
floodgates open and everybody came back?
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it's a natural response. If the city manager, sees a particular position being elevated either by commissioners or members of the public, as in the case of the sustainability position, he's gonna go, well, wait a minute, I think you all need to know about all of my other needs too. I mean, because in the absence of that, it's easy to get behind it and say, oh yeah, well, let's fund this. And so part of his job, which isn't easy, is to say, well, we got a lot of needs. Not that the sustainability isn't a great thing, but we want to look at all of this together. And I think that's the big thing he's hoping to get from you all today, that he can at least forward something tomorrow. That would be the goal for tomorrow night's discussion, because I think the commission wants to talk positions, and they would like to hear what you all think. So if we can somehow get there today, we're here to help.
Could we address it from a dollars position stand first? What can we reasonably afford? Okay.
No.
Yeah, we have to. We have to be able to afford it. Is there, I attended the last Board of Commissioners on the budget. My ears were telling me, and I say this affectionately, Ron, there's a plug amount of Ron's pocket of $150,000. You know, in other words, which was not defined where it would be spent. What else is there?
Well,
What
what,
else?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, what we've got right now in the general fund is $184,000 available for appropriation.
Okay.
So what I know, in looking at the city manager's memo, there's the three positions that seem to be I guess, more of a priority right now. And one is a planner position, which did get approved by the board last night. So there's a planner position, the field inspector, and the assistant to the public services director. Right now, the public services assistant position would be funded out of water and sewer, so we've got that money there. It's more the general fund, where we've got the $184,000. What it is, these three positions can be funded right now. Funding the position out of water and sewer, taking the planner position out of the $184,000, taking what Mark and I are talking about, splitting the field inspector because of all the capital projects and more capital projects, a good portion of our water and sewer fund, splitting a field inspector 50-50. We can still cover those three positions and still have $52,000 left in the general fund. So I'm not sure if that helps any or if I confuse things. So working between the general fund and the water and sewer fund, like I say, the assistant public services director, that's 100% water and sewer. Field
Got
inspector,
the funding there?
You
for
have
that?
the fund?
yes, we put it in the revenue sufficiency study when we were doing the rates for that position. We
Okay,
put some money in there.
so even with the 2.2% reduction, they
Correct.
approved, it's still covered.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to work off of Mark's memo of the 23rd, I think, because he finally has, you know, some numbers attached to it. And ignore this, if anybody can see, because there's some reconciliation.
It's just, so I got this one on email, but Mark's memo, did that also come over email?
Yes,
No. Let me see if I can.
because this didn't mean a whole lot without any numbers.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying, Ron, already, it can be funded is, would you just repeat for me which positions? The planner?
The planner position
And that was approved at the board.
last night.
I remember Mark saying he was gonna present. And that's going to be funded out of
Ron's pocket.
General fund.
RP. Okay. And what are the other two?
Well, the other position was a field inspector,
Correct.
and we were proposing funding at 50% general fund, 50% water and sewer fund.
And we have that position covered in the budget.
No, these positions we're talking about now, none of them are in the budget now.
Right, but financially, we
funding.
have the wherewithal.
Right, that,
to
yes.
pay.
that
Now,
re-
I realize what I'm saying has its, these positions technically have to be funded this year, next year, and
Right.
they're not gonna disappear.
They're
They're gonna
recurring,
continue. And we're probably not going to get the advantage of zero on the health, HR benefits next year. It's great that we got it, but we certainly can't count on it. Okay. And what was the other position?
It was the Assistant Public Services Director.
Okay, and how do we see funding that?
That would be 100% out of the Water and Sewer Fund.
And we have,
Yes.
again, in Mark's listing, I thought it was all encompassing, but I don't think he has.
I think that's everything else but the top three, basically, is how that.
Okay, I read that he had only one in there. I did not know what the project inspector was. Is that under Bob Robertson's area?
That would be, yes.
Okay,
Well, let me make sure I'm reading the right one. Are you reading from this here?
yes.
Okay.
That comes up to a total of I call it 1.5 to 1.6 million.
Project inspector, project administration, yes, that would be Bob's department.
Okay. So the question, and again, just dealing in dollars. For a second, ignoring the position. We're saying we have those three funded, and we have what left over? What can we? Is there other places we can cut to come up with dollars?
Other places we can cut?
Well, we basically have $52,000 left, right?
Right, out of that 184,000, which was available for appropriation, and covering these three positions, in the general fund, we have $52,000 available.
Where does the new job description we got today fit into this?
The cybersecurity?
The cybersecurity. I didn't understand why we were getting a job description when that wasn't on his top list.
There's a heavy push.
I think on your one list, it's called Enterprise Administrator, and that seemed a little, need to clarify it. It's a cybersecurity engineer, a little bit higher level. You'll see the IT specialist position.
Right.
This is a little higher level, and it's mostly dealing with cybersecurity at a more technical level.
I think it's number 5 on Mark's July 23rd memo.
Yeah,
Under positions for next year.
He's got 3 that he's proposing, and then 2 for further review, and then it goes down from there. And the IT position is for further review.
Yeah, and if I could clarify from that memo, as you're referencing there, further BOC review translates to, these were positions requested by commissioners. The 2 public works positions was, I'm calling it a position, but those positions were requested by a commissioner, and then also the IT position was requested by a member of the commission.
Agree.
So he's trying to put
And
all
the
this together.
2 public works were for, quote, the beautification projects.
I think all the additional workload, the city manager characterized it as, we're managing now, but with growing workload and additional assignments, we're gonna need the help. So, he does support them, but not quite as highly of a need as those top 3 that he identified.
I just, talking, thinking out loud here, don't we ever say no to, quote, wants and needs and live within, what can the current staffing provide us, and maybe we're asking for too much. I know everybody has their pet projects. But still currently sitting at $52,000. Is that it? I'm just talking about this year.
In this current year's budget, yes.
Does anybody want to raise the millage?
That's too late now because there was proposed last night to keep the maximum at the 5.37.
I did a rough calculation when I got Ron's 1.6 million.
Yeah.
And this is back of the envelope, because I can remember when we lowered it by 5 points from 5.42 to 4.37. The number 100,000 was approximate, the reduction in income. So I just did a back of the envelope calculation, and to do the whole 1.5 to 1.6 million, it was gonna have to take the millage up to 6.17. I'm not proposing
City of
that.
St. Pete zone.
I'm not
Yeah.
proposing that. I'm just trying to get the degree of magnitude on all these positions. It's a huge number. So in Mark's memo here, the 3 positions. And could I get again, attending the meeting the other day, 2 points, and I was back in the quiet area, public couldn't talk. I know, Paul, you cited, well, if there's a medical issue, you know, we have to cover it. You never budget based on medical. They do happen. Same thing with succession planning. Now, if Paul was going to be retiring and he notified HR, I'm understanding of some overlap. You're not gonna hire somebody the next day. You're gonna get them in for maybe a 6 month. I guess I'll ask, is succession planning crucial in this?
Thank you for asking. You know,
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
No, and
And say
I
I'm
have
rude.
no problem giving you some more information on this. I've been requesting this, I don't know if you know, but this position existed. It isn't something I just dreamed up that we need now. Bob Robertson was actually in the
Yep.
position, and he had an opportunity to be promoted to a new department, which I think is great, but that was over 5 years ago. You may have seen in the memo, originally there were 3 top-level administrators in the Public Services Department, and now it's down to just me. And I share Ashley, my executive assistant, with Bob's department, so I don't even have a full-time. We're running real thin down there. I can do it, but I don't think it's really good practice. I feel like it'll take 2 years probably to train somebody up on the diverse range of things that my position does. I also think that when we have hurricanes, I have to be I'm one of the required people. So if you're in a 24-hour mode, that's not gonna work. You need to have a backup for that. All of these things, I just feel like we're running a big risk. It's working right now until it doesn't. And I just think it takes too long to replace to really be responsible. Compare us with police and fire, who have very solid command structures. They have, I think, 2 assistants in each of their areas. And that's normal, probably more. Well, we're a 24-hour operation in public services. I mean, how long could you go without water coming out of your tap? I'd say a shorter amount of time than a police call or a fireman call if you think about how often you use the service. So I'm gonna make a real strong case for, I think we've just left this position unfilled too long. I've been putting memos into Mark since 2019 about it. And he's like, okay, yeah, we really do need to do this. So that's, I think, the big motive behind the top 3. Now, add to that, he's come up with a way to also address sustainability further with this position. If we don't fill sustainability coordinator, which is something you all want to talk about later, my position here shown would be the liaison. They'd be able to focus much more than I can on it. I would still provide my support continuity for that. And then the planning position approved has a sustainability function from a planning standpoint.
Is it spreading around too much?
No, I don't think,
Weakening it?
I don't think
Like
so.
it's another miscellaneous, you know, there's always a miscellaneous category on the
I'll
job.
say I've had a front row seat to this sustainability thing for about 2 years now, and I will say I've learned a lot. I've learned how broad this is. I've also learned that I don't think one single position can do everything, not just from workload, but from expertise. Much like you wouldn't go to one doctor for a specialty. Planning and zoning is a specialty. So is engineering related to solar master plans and technical things like that. So I really think, you know, the ultimate setup would be to have both, you know, ultimately. Have these department liaisons that are focused on sustainability and have a position that's focused on making it all integrate. But,
I attended the sustainability, so I was curious, I didn't know, at the church. Were you there, Susan?
But I've been to the
But I know Paul
sustainability
was there.
meetings.
I know, you know a lot about it. I was just trying to get myself up to date. So so the sustainability functions, I know it is a pretty heavy portion. Right now is what Mark's proposing. He's not proposing right now a separate sustainability
that's right.
coordinator.
And
He's proposing,
He's proposing task under the principal planner and the assistant director of public services have sustainability task under, as part of their job description.
Right.
And then to review that, the sustainability coordinator position again for next budget year.
Yes.
But I'm not a proponent of diluting a job like that because it becomes a secondary task. I didn't bring the there was a graphic with it where we filled all the positions and the sustainability. And that's my preference, because if we're gonna commit to this sustainability, it needs to be a full committal, saying we're gonna put that resource there. Cause I don't want it under somebody else's, you know, other duties as assigned, so to speak, and not, you know, not that it would become that, but it does. I read the job description, it is kinda down in the thing, and there's other more important things there probably need to do in those two areas, so that's my initial thoughts on it. And Ron, I had a question for you. The CRA fund, I know it's a separate fund, the Board of Commissioners still acts as the board of the CRA. If the sustainability coordinator does work within the CRA, which certainly some of their work would apply to that, could some of their salary be funded from the CRA?
We do have a couple positions now. I know they've tried to limit it, you know, how many positions are in the CRA. They like, you know, I think they choose to have that money for capital expenditures within the
All the
CRA.
money going to salaries.
And that was one of my things, when you were looking for funding, I was going to say, well, one of these technicians for beautification, you know, if they're working like these other two positions, you could probably split, maybe it's 50-50, that technician one for beautification out of the CRA. Sustainability, it's always we could look into that if they are working within that CRA area. But I know the board's been a little bit hesitant about adding too many other positions within the CRA.
Yeah, understandably, and I don't know, can it be split, and like 50% out of the general fund, 50%?
Oh, yes, we do that with quite a few positions right now.
So that, there is a potential source there for funding it.
How are we handling cybersecurity now?
Well, with the present IT staff that they have, and that's why I guess one position that they're looking for, one to really focus on cybersecurity is one, the enterprise administrator, but you got the new job description for it's cybersecurity engineer.
Right.
A little higher level technical abilities to just focus on cybersecurity. So otherwise, right now, it's just between Suzanne and her staff that she has, you know, monitoring the system, trying to make sure nothing gets into our system.
Yeah, she explained the other day, and I can't remember now if it was at the board meeting or at the staff meeting, but she was talking about a real increase in the number of attacks on the system, and it was an astounding number.
it was actually the mayor that presented that.
Yeah,
Because
so,
he had a
1,200
friend who,
attacks or
A
something.
little outside.
you know, and as a director, she says,
Oh, hear the news. No.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a difficult position. I think you can't afford not to. But then where do you find the funds to do it?
When I,
Prevention position, it's not gonna generate any more income.
No, it's not.
It's a
But like I
prevention.
said,
How
the
much
increase of these
risk?
attacks, I don't know that you can avoid doing it.
right, and I think what Suzanne said, she spends a lot of her time just focusing on the system, trying, you know, as a director, trying to do it where she could probably give this work to this cybersecurity engineer person to just watch the system all day, make sure preventing and looking out for anything, trying to get through.
How does our IT staffing compare to other cities?
We're about the same level as some other cities.
I just saw this position, and I'm not the worry word, sitting back, you know, it was till 2 a.m. in the morning, but there's so much in the news. And will we ever be attacked? But when they are, it could be pretty, the ransom was pretty old.
Was it
It's
like City of Atlanta that had, I mean,
Yeah.
it took them a
The
year.
numbers can be pretty big.
So Atlanta, a number of other cities have been hit in smaller thing than Atlanta did, but it's a growing concern.
Oldsmar, what,
The water department in
Water.
Oldsmar, yeah.
Crippling.
And I was reading in this executive summary, so how does this differ from, under personnel? 2 positions added during current fiscal year '21, so the one we're in right now in the water treatment plant. They were created for additional cybersecurity purposes to safeguard the city and its citizens, so is,
Yeah,
we
that's,
need one on top of this?
no, actually, I'm
No.
glad you asked. That's a totally different thing. That's actual operators so that we can have people there in front of the equipment and not relying on computers to run things
run the
and nobody
software
being
checks.
around.
Okay.
Because there was nobody there at night, was there?
All right, that's not something we really put out there, but we're relying on technology, just as many other utilities do, and
To
that
have
was like a.
software running in the background?
Yeah, we monitor, you know, and our phone tells us if there's alarms
Right.
remotely. But I think that was a sort of a September 11th event when Oldsmar got hit. It was like, okay, we've turned a corner, we can't assume anything anymore.
I have a question when you're done, Sue.
You can go ahead.
I just want to zoom out for a second, so make sure I'm following. So, this one email I can't quite open. So essentially, the directors submitted this list of what their needs for the upcoming years to city manager. City manager reviewed them all and said, out of these, I'm recommending 3. And then the cybersecurity sort of an extra add-in as a 4th recommendation.
That was a commissioner.
board
request.
members-
Well,
added.
the second two are the
and
commission.
and the
Okay.
2 beautification, I'm sorry,
Public
Public
Works.
Works.
Okay, and then.
I hate that word, beautification.
These 3 were the city manager, these were under
Those
the
two they
board of
recommended.
commissioners.
Right.
Oh, and when you made the comment that you think we should go for all of them, did you mean all of these, or
No,
you
no,
meant?
no, no.
Okay, all right.
No, no.
You meant the recommendations from,
The top,
okay.
the 3 that the city manager proposed, I still want sustainability coordinator on the table for discussion, and then the IT position. So really, I'm looking at 5.
5 or 6?
And it's what I'm hearing Ron saying is we have 3 of them funded. So we're really looking for funding for 2.
Wait, so let's go through that one more time, I'm sorry, so,
The principal planner,
This
which
one's
the,
the
yeah, the board has
sustainability one.
approved that, so that's kind of a,
this one's
a
approved.
given now.
Okay, got it. So then we're looking at 5 additional to include the sustainability.
correct. That's, yeah.
This one? Oh, sure, thank you. I got writing on it. Okay, and then these would be something we'd look at later on down the line, sort of thing. Okay, and so the ask
I
from us is
I
to.
think we can only focus on current year. I hate,
Oh,
to,
yeah.
to come up and.
Definitely.
There's too many unknowns out there in 2 and 3. Granted, this is an ongoing and may even grow, hopefully not, but grow list. But I think what we can do is this year's budget, to see 2 and 3. And I respect the fact that people may be in a better position than we are to assess absolute needs.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to say, is like, the information is, yeah, it's helpful to know kind of, the director's view, but it sounds like Mark probably did a thorough review of that as well as the commissioners.
I think he's kind of, because this came after the meeting.
Yeah,
But we've talked about the 3 positions. I think we're talking about possibly 5 more. 2 public service workers, this is cybersecurity, sustainability,
And that would be 6 total. No, 7,
7.
if you do
Okay.
2 public works.
Yeah,
Wait, 2 public works. Oh, okay, I see. There we go. Yep, 2 public works. They're on line item 1. So 7 total. And we're saying we have that funded,
We have
No.
3 funded.
3 funded. Okay,
the top 3.
The top 3.
okay. Now it makes sense.
So this is a open discussion.
So we say those 3 are funded. Is any of that funding that we say we have, I'm assuming the assistant director is funded mainly because it's an enterprise fund, we have revenues coming in. The construction field inspector, we're gonna split 50-50 in order to fund it. But in filling these positions, do we have consulting fees or professional fees in the budget that can be reduced? Because we're gonna recommend to fill these positions, and how much would that be?
And I thought that's where I saw, I believe it's, you're right up, Paul, on one of the positions. I actually did read them all.
Great.
And that you mentioned being able to cut some expenses. I'd have to go through.
Both there and I believe the principal planner position also had that reference, that or maybe it was the construction field inspector. I think we are using outside
Well, there
services for
was
that.
some potential funding mentioned in here, and maybe that's what you're talking about, as far as engineer of record stormwater plan review, approximately 67,000. This is where they're talking about reducing consultant/engineering fees. Building department contracted services for inspection of underground utilities, $10,000. I guess they could do away with that. And then in public services, contracted services for inspections annually exceeds 120,000. So I think they were talking about, like you say, they were gonna try, they could reduce some of these fees
Right.
here.
So when you say you have them funded, are you including reducing those fees, or is that on,
They haven't been reduced
they
yet,
haven't
no.
been reduced?
We haven't figured that in.
So we really maybe potentially have a couple $100,000 there?
I would probably have to get with, like Bob and them to see, what could they reduce?
One other comment, so in sort of forecasting, we're looking at 7 positions. Most of them, you'd hire them and that sort of be the end, but I would almost see sustainability and potentially cybersecurity as one that they would likely request projects that would cost additional monies down the line, I would imagine.
There is that potential.
So it's sort of like a future expectation that they might be asking
I
for.
would think in the sustainability, I can't speak to IT, I'm not there, but sustainability, I would think that projects that they request, they could get grants for them.
Okay, because they would likely be expensive.
Right, yeah.
Okay, all right, so that's good to know.
And I would think for at least the initial first couple of years of a sustainability program, some of the American Rescue Plan money could potentially offset it.
Did you see the grant in the job description for the sustainability, if you read that? Was that part of the job description? Searching for grants for
Oh,
funding?
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, good.
One other, source of funding I've been trying to push on for the last couple of years, and I think they're getting closer to it, is our building permit fees have been the lowest in the county. And I know, our director, Kevin Powell, did have a presentation at a workshop, and I think they're looking into that, to maybe, if they could raise the building permit fees, that might offset, that money goes in the general fund, the field inspector that they're looking for in the general fund, and help that fund out. But I know maybe sometime they will propose new fees, a little bit higher,
Give them a little push.
yeah. But we are one of the lowest in the county.
So potential income there.
Now, do we know on the 2 public works position, are we reducing overtime that's already within the department if we fill those positions?
I would probably have to I'm not sure if that was part of the calculation of that, or if that's some,
Was there a memo in the
I
back?
sensed it did not. I sensed
Just more workload?
Dom was,
Yeah, I think it's an increase in the workload because of
Beautification.
expectations, as this memo says, that have been put out there by the commissioners.
So we gotta find the money for basically 4 positions if we wanna go that
If we
route.
wanna go with all 7, yeah.
Okay.
You're talking the three that we are talking about, the planner position, construction field inspector, assistant director of public services, the 2 public works positions, 1 IT position,
And sustainability.
and sustainability.
Yeah, so if we wanted to, like you proposed, go with that, what would be your strategy for funding it?
And then I just want to make, with the IT positions, 2 of them are IT specialists, the other one's the cybersecurity one.
Cybersecurity one.
Just the
Because
cybersecurity.
that's a little bit higher salary and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
So, yeah,
heard somewhere that
it'd be 100 fully
it was
loaded.
right about 100 fully loaded.
And sustainability fully loaded, what, 75, 80?
That would be the top of the range. There is some
we
difference in
don't know that.
opinion on where this should be graded.
Yeah.
And I do want you to know, there's a lot of public comment being made about, we want a director, and that's what other cities are doing. That's not really what we
I
found.
don't see it as a director, it's more of a coordinator.
I've actually reached out to I work with these people regularly, I've learned a lot from them. But they're at actually a lower grade, some of them, than what the city manager's recommended at his coordinator
Yeah,
grade.
the ones I looked at, I think they were in the 50 to 60 range in our neighboring cities. But you have to add the benefits on it, so.
And they're figuring out 17% for the Benny. So you're probably right there on that number, between 70, 80. So let's do the math. Let's just say.
You're pushing it with 7 positions there, that's.
Let's just do
I did some numbers here, and I was trying to mix and match and some stuff, the different positions, so like, I had 4. And that was like taking the cybersecurity engineer position, it's a higher salary at 85 with benefits,
Call it
and
100.
splitting it 50/50 because it's doing water and sewer, so
Yeah.
that was at 52,000 that was left over. It's eating into about 42,000 of that. So, but after that, if we're getting to position 5, 6, and 7, okay, we talk about if they could raise some revenues, make some expenditure cuts, charge CRA fund. I know just in the American Rescue Plan, we've been following all the paperwork constantly, trying to, everybody's in the same boat. They're calling each other, well, what can we spend this money on? It's pretty vague and broad.
Absolutely.
But especially when it gets to salaries.
Will change as well, because with the PPP loans, it changed.
Yeah. But I've been, especially when it came to positions, and I've heard, okay, can we fund these positions out? But there's really nothing in there for funding too much a position, unless, like an example, fire paramedics. They've got one in here, emergency management, and what they've told me is, well, if you can say that at least 50% of their work is COVID-related, you can help fund that position. Now, that money's only gonna last,
Get spent on projects rather than personnel, that fund for
Yeah.
sure. But I guess what we need to know then is, professional fees, consulting services that we have in the budget, if we filled these positions, how much could be cut?
and that might be a good question to pose, okay, you wanna get these 7 positions, okay, we need to cut some of these, .31 professional services out of there.
Yep.
That's where we're going. Yep.
Okay.
Now, do we really need both public works positions, or can we get by with one?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I found
Just
Tom's
start with
memo.
one.
Start with one.
Well,
Very back, Tom's
Okay.
memo. Did you all see that one? He explains a little bit.
What does he say there?
He talks about, since 2009, the number of full-time positions in the division were reduced from 20 to 15. During that time, the city's added many programs. He gives examples. And parks, splash park, exercise park, basketball courts. In addition, use of active and passive facilities has increased. 3 additional positions will be primarily assigned to maintaining facilities and improving beautification efforts throughout the city. But I guess you could argue if he's gotten by without them, maybe he doesn't need all 3 right away, maybe, that'd be something you could.
I'm always
Add one
lean
this
that
year
way
and-
heavily.
Yeah, add one this year and review
Yeah.
next
Even though
year.
We want to
That's
give
what I'm
you
thinking,
all
have
3
just one this
positions.
year.
You're special. But
Dip a toe in kind of thing?
dip the toe in. See, I know, and to me, Tom talked the other night at the Board of Commissioners meeting about getting temporary people. He gets lousy people. They
Oh,
don't
it's
show up.
same at the cemetery. I mean, it's a real problem.
Okay, so we're looking at doing one public works, the cybersecurity and sustainability. And if we can cut the,
Professional fees, consulting, maybe put some in the CRA. I think we have it there, it's just parsing it out.
okay.
Tell me this, just to get when we talk about taking a portion of it over to CRA, one position, what do give me a few more words there.
Well, right now we allocate, do we allocate some of Karen there? I know who do we allocate to CRA now, personnel-wise?
A couple, basically Tom's Public Works technician
The
people.
parks people, like they
Right.
do the trail and.
Right.
So
Karen
this
is not-
has
Karen is not
tended to
charged.
be resisted by the commissioners. They want to do projects with it as opposed to,
The past history is yes, sometimes, yes, they want to do more, put it more towards their capital projects.
okay.
Now, just that, you know, the CRA's got it's got 9 years left. It's a 30-year CRA, so it started in 2000, goes through 2030. I'm still talking whether the CRA can be renewed with the county. I'm not sure if the county really wants to, because the county pays part of their property taxes that they collect to the city for their portion.
Okay.
So you're looking at the 6 positions,
Yeah,
We're down to
one
6.
Public Works.
right.
Yeah.
And trying to just work with some numbers here, between, cybersecurity, split 50/50 water and sewer. And also I'm thinking, well, if we could say, split the technician,
So again, if we split, let's just take the cybersecurity, 50%. Let's say it's 100,000 total.
the position,
Yeah,
it's 86,000.
plus Benny's.
Well, that includes it.
Yeah, I would have thought I thought Suzanne threw out 100,000.
I thought 100,000 was what I was hearing. I thought that's what we even discussed.
She put a
while
grade
ago.
in her
The
last job
cybersecurity.
description.
But let's just run for a second. Let's pretend I'm right on the 100,000. You're saying take half of that over to the water? Is there-
For which position was that?
The cybersecurity,
Cybersecurity.
Right.
because that would fall under them to also monitor those systems.
And my next thing to say, okay, and if you could get the board to approve, okay, take one of the technician ones for beautification, okay, split that 50% general fund, 50% CRA fund, if we could allocate that and
Okay.
for their work in the CRA area. Then, probably trying to cut back.
Aaron, I was looking for the job description Suzanne sent that you all just got today. And
That I only have on
I can
the
pull it up
computer.
here.
Got
did-
it.
Was there a grade at the top of it, or pay
No.
range or anything?
I don't see one.
No.
You may read these better than I do.
I think,
No, what's in her memo, I think is different because it was an administrator.
right. So we don't.
I was just thinking if you could split some of these positions, as far as the balance that you're looking for from, without trying to run the numbers, maybe
Right.
we're getting down there and say, okay, do we have to just cut $100,000 worth of, if it's that, of,
Yeah, I got,
Consulting
I know
fees.
exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suzanne's
Anything but that.
Because
There's
it
a
went from
small
an IT
potential we'll get a little more
administrator
tax
to
revenue once your
cybersecurity.
final numbers come out. I think last year we did, right?
on
There's
the,
always that chance, maybe.
well, the property tax, we got the final at the 7.3%, if that's what you're talking about, on July 1st. I don't think, it's not going to change much. It did go up from earlier because we had the estimate in May and we did go up.
And we haven't added any, like, year over year, the position numbers haven't changed that much,
Not
from what I
significantly.
remember, yeah.
Correct.
Like, almost not at all. They've been flat, no changes for years.
Well, there's been some new positions, like fire department got 4 new paramedics when they got the SAFER grant.
got the
But
SAFER
it hasn't been many, no.
Yeah, not like, 6 is a big number.
Right.
definitely.
Grants only lasted a certain, now we're paying full
Right.
boat.
Do you, one last question for me, and then I think I've asked everything I can ask, but What, do you think that, so the money that we have in the general fund, I know we don't have a crystal ball, but do you think, are you concerned at all that the revenues might dip next year, or what's your view on sort of next year and without a crystal ball?
Let's see, should I put on my pessimistic hat and stuff?
Oh,
You know, I just,
There's a black cloud, there's a
you
cloud.
know, it's just, and I'm hearing the word, and sometimes, especially by the board, say, well, everything's really good right now. And all of a sudden I just sort of cringe and I go, oh, God. And I hear, especially with COVID and the different variants, and I'm afraid, are we going to backtrack now? All of a sudden we've projected revenues based on, going back to about a couple of years where we are, revenues have gone back up, our half cent, our penny tax, we're back to where we should be. So I worry that, they're thinking we're flush with money here and stuff, and
These are good times in terms of
I just worry
tax
about,
revenues and the fact that, this year we got the HR benefits. We're not gonna get that next year.
I just heard from Suzanne, and she confirmed it's still a 25, which has the range of 64 to 104. So if you assume, I don't know, third
Yeah.
of the way in or something.
I based it on her memo, that's what, her minimum there. So, yeah, I sort of worry about, with everything, the economy right now, they talk about interest rates going up, but I don't think, I listen to these talking heads every morning and stuff, and, inflation, and,
Different opinions.
it's transitionatory, whatever. Big word for me.
Inflation is,
Yeah.
could we kind of summarize where we, as a group, where we think we are? Well, where I think, now, correct me, jump in,
I
then we'll
have
talk
it
about
written down Unless
finances.
you want me to go through it. I've been taking notes.
Oh, good notes, go ahead.
Okay, so you're pretty much in line with the three positions at the city manager, which is the planning, I don't have my memo in front of me,
Principal planner,
the principal planner, the,
build inspector, and the assistant director of public
Okay.
services.
and then one public works tech,
Mm-hmm,
the sustainability coordinator,
mm-hmm,
and the cybersecurity engineer.
Right.
mm-hmm.
Now, as far as funding,
That's where we got stuck.
that's where you're stuck.
That's, we're working on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Let's just say between those three positions, what are we looking at, Ron? What, all in?
The three positions?
Yeah.
From the city manager's memo.
So let's go with your number for cybersecurity. Let's just call that 80. What about a public works? What are we looking all in for them? 40?
For the technician one,
They were up higher, I don't know, he had technician
well,
one,
you got 53,000 with benefits for the technician one position.
Okay, and then sustainability, all in, what are we thinking? If we go, I say go one grade below what the city manager had requested, because that's more in line with
I
sister
think I was going by
cities.
this one down here. She's got the benefits lumped in there. I sort of made my own and sort of broke it out there with
You got your
the,
own
making
spreadsheet?
separate there, so I don't know if that helps any.
I like this line of thinking we're going on, one grade below for the,
Yeah, one grade below for the sustainability, whatever the city manager had put in his original memo, which I think was one grade above most sister cities. I'm thinking for those three, we're about 200,000.
okay.
And just,
For which three?
the cybersecurity, one public works technician, and sustainability coordinator.
What was that amount you threw out?
I'm thinking 200,000 to cover all three.
I'm sorry, so cybersecurity, one technician, one?
Uh-huh,
so the lowest
the
technician.
lowest technician.
Okay, between cybersecurity, I've got the 85 and the 52, so about 100, almost about 140,000 there.
Okay, so maybe I'm looking at 210 then, 220, if we add a sustainability coordinator
At the one grade lower than
at
it was
one grade
requested.
lower.
I'd like to go 220.
Okay.
We're giving about
my fear is the
$80,000 with
cybersecurity.
benefits.
With the sustainability part?
Yes.
Yeah, 75, 80, yeah. And I think that's one thing, when we make our recommendation, we need to say, well, this is our wish list, but we have assigned these values to them, so when they go out and are published, that the person hiring knows, well, this is the constraint I'm, you know.
And, I know that's why I felt more comfortable pushing up to the 220. I just sense this cybersecurity person is in high demand.
Market.
So we're dealing in a marketplace,
Yeah, it's a good point.
supply and demand, you know, the old economic. People are in higher demand, and the supply probably isn't unlimited.
So if I could just ask, are we just sort of putting this form aside here?
Yeah, it kind of.
It seems like we got the ranking. You've got the 6 priorities right here. Everything else is probably,
Yeah,
Down the road.
It's,
this
yeah,
was
next year.
good at one point, 4 weeks ago, throw it away. Now we
the
have
the mayor
numbers.
created it. That's why I found it. Look at the spreadsheet.
I know he
I
did.
found out the mayor did.
Based on a lot of information, yeah. And I know that's where, he was throwing out the number around 98 on the cybersecurity. I don't know where that number is coming from. Total benefits, all in,
Yeah.
close to 100.
Right, so I think if you want to use this form, what we're saying, even though we don't, we're saying we're only really want to suggest the first year, and in the first year, we're recommending these 6 positions at the rates that y'all talked about. I think that.
With the caveat, we're going to have to find out how we fund these last 3. though.
Yeah, we need more information on what consulting, professional fees, so forth, can be reduced. We need a decent number estimate on that.
So how do we get that, Ron? How do we?
The consulting, or?
Yeah, do we go back and we'll go back to the,
Yeah,
Department
like
heads.
you say, the caveat would be, okay, we're recommending these new hires, knowing that right now some of that work is done by outside contractors, and we would expect that to be reduced.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that to you. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get you a better number than what has been provided. It's really an estimate, but I think if it came back from you as a conditional recommendation, this is assuming that these departments will follow up with those actual reductions to cover X.
And then a couple of the positions we were splitting also, so that gives you some of those funds.
Well, that's what I say. If you are of the opinion that, okay, the technician, one public works, we split that 50/50 general fund CRA, if that's your recommendation, that'll help.
Yes.
That takes another about 26,000 off of that petition.
Yeah,
And
So I don't know if we're looking at, you know, if we're looking at 120,000, we need, you know, to make some cuts.
right.
That's just a ballpark number there. I'm just,
here to scratch all these numbers down. Because they're going to ask for a recommendation. And who cares much to support what everybody's saying here?
It's gonna be a long recommendation, but
You wanna
basically,
split them out?
well, I'm not sure, because they all tie together. It's basically, we're recommending 6 positions with the caveat that, we are informed that 3 are funded, 3 are not.
Even on the 3 funded, could, in follow-up to this, could we say, okay, this position, we're going to fund it where? Split it between,
General and CRA, you
General
said
and
on one of
CRA.
those, right?
can we
So the
get?
first 3, split them where possible.
I know I'm being anal here.
No.
It's a chart. It said position recommended, those 6. Funding,
Yeah, we could do that. So principal planner is currently from the available funds that are in the general fund.
correct.
The construction field inspector would be a 50/50
50,
split,
yeah.
general and water and sewer. The assistant director of public services covered by the water sewer, which is enterprise fund, is generating revenue. Public works technician would be half CRA, half general fund. Cybersecurity we're gonna have to reduce professional fees, but it may not be within IT, it may be across the board. That's where these departments are gonna have to work together. And then the sustainability coordinator would also be reduction in professional fees. Like basically principal planner and assistant director of public services, we're giving you your full-time person. Here you go, but you also gotta help us out over here on a sustainability coordinator by giving up some professional fees.
That sounds good. Yep, I agree with that.
So it could be, you're right, so it's not such a long-winded explanation. of, Have you gotten any feedback? There was one other item mentioned. I'm gonna call it a competitive salary study. Have you gotten anything back, more what we're looking at in that area? I'm
They
doing.
did the salary survey,
They did the survey.
Right.
Now the question is, what we're gonna do? Have we had any feedback? You know, it's another potential expense.
well, I think the city manager is, we got some people topped out. He's talking about trying to raise the grades, but he doesn't know if there will be increases. But what he's trying to work in with is in the 3% we've got funded for general employees.
Okay,
Try to work within that pot of money.
perfect. Bless it. I thought it was sounding like, in addition to, okay,
No.
okay. Anybody have a problem, any problems or with what we've said? If it goes as our recommendation? Any issues?
No, I think the sustainability and the cybersecurity is maybe things we could say we don't need right now, but if something, long-term, it is, prudent to.
And the
do those.
cybersecurity, yeah, I mean, they're,
Yeah, it becomes a if not now, when.
Exactly,
if not
yeah.
now, when?
So, no, I agree with what
And
you
if you do
suggested.
get hit, it's gonna cost you a whole
That's the
lot
right,
of
the
money.
risk is increasing, yeah.
So just to go, so you got the principal planner, 100% general fund. You said the field inspector, 50/50 between the general fund and water and sewer fund. Hopefully sometimes they could raise building permit fees to help cover that. We've got
Assistant Public
the assistant
Services.
public service director, 100% water and sewer.
So, yeah.
We've got the,
We're able to fund that out of the income.
yeah, technician one,
Was there any contract cuts there or no? Any cuts to come up with that or?
No, not
Okay.
really. It's just work that needs to be done.
the technician one, what you're proposing is split 50/50 general fund CRA.
Right.
And just, I tried to reduce some calculations. I'm thinking maybe we need about 145,000 with the 85,000 for the sustainability and the balance of with the cybersecurity position there. Okay.
Ron, I met you were getting to the next one. So IT, cybersecurity, I was writing furiously. What was the funding
Reduce
strategy?
professional fees
Okay.
for the last two being IT and cybersecurity and
Will you
sustainability.
be able to come out with notes from this meeting prior?
You know, and even with cybersecurity, if you want to split, I'm sorry.
Tomorrow? I'm sorry.
I
Yes.
could do the table. I could make the.
Yeah,
table.
the table, that,
Okay,
I love
you
tables.
can do that.
I
Yeah,
volunteer.
cybersecurity, we said
50/50?
50/50.
You know, I'd probably like to do, since I don't have my calculator and stuff, if I could put all this together and try to see what is the effects, with what
Yeah.
you're saying and
Yeah,
stuff, and
yeah.
That's,
get it down to the dollar.
That's what
Yeah.
we need to, yeah.
I feel a little uncomfortable, I'm afraid I'm
I'm
gonna
with
miss
Yeah,
it.
you,
you-
Ron.
you feel-
I've been on your side, so I
Yeah.
understand totally what, you wanna go back and run it
shooting
through the
too much
model.
from the.
Right, look over it 2-3 times,
Yeah.
and
I see a couple more columns in this table. One would be grade that you all
Grade, yeah,
propose,
we need
and
that.
amount, which Ron could help us with. But the grade, I wanted to ask you all, just so I'm clear on your recommendations. Sustainability coordinator, you were saying which grade? I heard
One
you say-
grade below whatever the city manager had in his.
I think he said 18, so that would be 17. And I'll-
sustainability grades.
And that's aligned with what you said you found at those, okay,
That's
with,
right.
with other cities.
And
whatnot.
just budgeting the minimums of grade 17. Yeah, I'd like to,
Make you nervous? No? budgeting down at the minimum?
Right.
No, when they come up and they say they need 10% more, well, we got this wonderful person. Now we-
Oh, we get the
That's
highly qualified person.
Paul, the cybersecurity one was at grade 25?
That's
Did I see that
correct,
right?
yes.
I like your chart.
You started it.
That's it.
I like it too.
Yeah, they did want to, are you going to be at the meeting tomorrow night?
We both
Um,
are.
Yes.
Okay, good. I think they were hoping to, they asked me to ask you. I didn't want to push you into it, but I know you enjoy the meetings.
Paul, you'll get that chart. early.
I'll do it this afternoon.
But we, you know, we'll be behind that bar. We'll
Okay.
have to be invited. We can't talk.
They'll probably call you up.
Yeah, to call you to present the recommendation.
Well, that's why I want this nice, easy chart.
And Paul's gonna do that for you.
Yeah.
I can't do it as pretty as Paul, though.
Oh, it won't be much.
Functional is all that matters.
That's right.
Hey, we're getting close. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Do you have a consensus of all this? Did you want to put it in a motion form? I have it fairly written.
Yeah, can you read what
Yeah,
you
we
got?
we need a motion and vote before Cassie has to leave.
Yes.
Right.
She's giving us 9 minutes.
This is what I have, correct me. So we have funding for the principal planner out of the general fund 100%. We have the construction field inspector 50/50, general fund and water and sewer.
Correct.
We have the assistant public services director 100% funded water and sewer. We have the public works tech 50/50, general fund CRA,
Tech one.
tech one.
That one.
I don't have a grade attached to that.
I can look it up.
Okay. And then the cybersecurity is a grade 25. But that amount, I had down 85
That's
as
what
a
we-
min number. I don't know if that's still a good,
Is that with benefits?
I don't know. Is that with benefits? Okay.
The range was 64,
My
7.
numbers had it at the minimum 65, and then with benefits, it came to 86,000,
So
I
it'd be
think.
the minimum.
The minimum, okay. The minimum grade 25.
Minimum for the cybersecurity.
You're gonna be coming back to you, Ron.
I'm
And
what?
then-
They'll be
They'll be
coming
coming
back to you
for more
saying,
money
I
on
have
that
this wonderful person.
He's
And
the only person
these-
in the market.
Sustainability coordinator was a grade 17 minimum.
Is that right, Paul?
I'm gonna make a note and go back. I can't find the memo that I wrote.
I don't have that original
But I
memo.
wrote one below what the city manager recommended. So if it's, whatever that is, I'm pretty sure it's 17.
That's the number, the new number?
Yes.
Okay. I have my emails.
So did they ask about any of these other positions? I say you're just focusing on
This year only.
this
We
year.
just, my opinion, there's too many unknowns out there. This is not a small,
Well, this is quite an
Ye-
ad
this
in
is
one
quite
year
an ad.
anyway.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
what's next year gonna be like?
Yeah, and it
Well-
only makes me, it doesn't give me a lot of pause just because we haven't had a big increase in headcount in the 4 or 5 years I've been looking at it. So, and some of these positions are desperately needed with the direction the city's going with
Yeah.
strategic planning and.
And I think what's hard, looking from your shoes, with these positions, you're going, well, police needs 6 positions. How desperate are they? Trying to rank it without knowing,
I
without,
did actually go through his write-up, I thought he presented.
Right.
Talk about 9.
number of positions
He has
per.
dispatchers and,
Yeah.
And then you also had, with the caveat on some of these positions, the reduction professional services. Which was the the principal planner, the assistant public services, and then the cybersecurity.
Ron, do you think we'll be able to come up with a ballpark number on the additional cuts required?
Well, that's what I'll work on. I'll take these
Yeah.
positions, I'll put them together, see what do we need, and I don't know if the next step is, I don't know, Paul, what you think, if we get with somebody where these fees are charged and say, okay, if I come up with 145,000, okay, is there some places in some of these departments where if I get with Bob and whoever else to say, okay, where can we make these cuts so we can balance the budget here?
Yep.
I think the big one will be the field inspector, because of all of the stormwater review fees we pay. Those add up quickly.
Okay, so you need a motion.
I mean, was
Do I hear a
Mark.
Can I
motion?
just,
I'll make a motion.
well, I know that, I don't know if the mayor's gonna say it, he's gonna go back to what his questions were. I don't know if it's,
Oh, you
means
got
any-
questions recently?
well, that was part of his email. Part of his three things: prioritize, the positions
Which we did.
based on importance of filling the position. Number two, circumstances if the position is not filled in this upcoming budget. When I talked to him, he says, well, if we don't fill it, what's gonna be is there a detriment or something? I think is what
That's beyond our scope.
That's beyond,
Yeah, that's,
yeah,
that's beyond my job
So I just want to make aware of it, if maybe he brings this up or something.
yeah.
And number three was the funding, recommendation on what funds should be used to compensate for the new positions.
And we,
I think we did
and
that.
we can answer that second one in general terms. We're gonna focus on.
You thought it was better just to focus on the near term here and,
That's your
Yeah,
answer
would
for
you
you.
feel
Paul can
comfortable?
put a footnote in
I think
his,
we've got
chart.
your answer. One of the mayor's choices is priority 3 is future budget. So you're just gonna put,
Yeah, all of
the
us
others
on
are
Future consideration,
future consideration,
and maybe they'll die down in number.
yeah.
do you all have a sense of what priority within the 6 that you've established? Do you want to venture into a priority of those, or do you just want to give them all a 1 must fill?
Above.
Well, principal planner obviously has got to be number one because they've already approved it, right?
All right.
So that's number one.
I'd like to put it, sorry to say, back on the commissioners. Here's what we're recommending. Now, if you don't disagree, you disagree somewhere. Okay,
water?
No, I'm good.
they're coming up with the priority.
That's why I said, it's probably hard for you without knowing the positions and talking to the department heads and the need.
Exactly, yeah, without having that additional insight.
Yeah.
See, in that write-up, each of those department heads, they should have prioritized it. That would have helped us.
Yeah,
Right.
agree, good point.
Of
Just
course.
so you know, there is a finance,
I hate to say, every,
there is a finance position there, but
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm in the,
Hire from the private sector, I'm gonna come work for you, so you just hold that for me.
but, anytime anybody's gonna
succession
come in,
planning.
they know the city as a whole doesn't, this is a huge, I agree, this is a huge increase. It's been pretty much hold the line, so you better be able to justify, and that's why I worked in a Japanese company. To add a new position, your eyeballs have to be bleeding. In other words, it's gotta be up to here.
Yep.
I was just gonna do a little math. So 6 new positions out of, I want to say 357 or something in the city.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's 1.6% increase in positions. So I just want to keep it in perspective. It is money and it is a number of positions, but
Okay,
organizationally,
Let's go back. Cassie made a
Had a
motion, I'll
motion.
second the motion.
Okay.
Good thing you're keeping
All
track.
those in favor?
Are we gonna do roll call?
Don't
vote?
need to.
Oh, just
Aye.
aye.
Unanimous.
Now, if I go ahead and put something together, you want me to try to get it out to you later today?
If you could.
Yes, send by email, we can
Just
respond
sort
to
of
it.
team effort.
Team
To
effort.
you and you
And
take it
that
from there.
beautiful chart and what the,
Just keep me on the list.
I will, Michelle.
yeah. Okay. Any additional items?
Yeah, just tell them that, don't decrease the millage rate. No. I know after they do a lot of these things, at the very end, they're gonna go, let's decrease the millage rate after all this.
May I ask, Ron, we have a very good table to work with here. Will there be a cover memo? Would that be from you, Ron, summarizing the motion from Michelle? Do we need to ask anything of the chair to sign the memo or anything like that? Or I don't know how you all normally do your business. I know we're in,
Do a basic recommendation like I did the last one.
And then he'll be at the meeting, so they can call on him to
Do I need to know
elaborate.
the exact?
I want to have enough information so I'm able to elaborate. That's
I'll get
the
that
chart.
to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just going through public comments. Staff comments, any further?
Had enough.
Board comments?
Nothing.
Next meeting, well, let's,
Would be a August meeting unless we call one sooner.
As far as the future agenda items, I would like the internal auditor to come and speak to us and meet us. I haven't met him yet.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, agree.
And then maybe Ron can give us an update on where we're at in the budget process.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I'll get you that.
Of course, we might have a pretty good idea
Yeah,
after tomorrow
yeah, but
night.
just as a whole,
Yeah,
because, I mean, things happen daily.
things, okay.
So that would be August 19th.
Okay.
With that said, Cassie, for your benefit,
Yeah.
adjourn the Budget Advisory Committee at 3:40 in the afternoon.
Awesome.
You're gonna
Thank
make it, you can
Yeah,
make,
I'm gonna
we
make
did
it.
it just for you.